Hello.
Hello.
Hi. What's going on?
Not much. It's Sunday.
It's Sunday.
I
It's Magical
have
Theory
a
Day.
half of cup of coffee that you
Oh,
made
yeah,
me
yeah. Also, Magical Theory.
in the
Magical Theory and the
underground.
Underground. Coffee time, coffee time. Hello, friends. How are y'all doing? We have a little Winnie Woo next to
Yeah,
us.
he's being a real baby,
He needs to
as
run
is his
around.
way.
Oh my
Oh,
God. He's licking my arm. He's licking my arm.
you just relax,
Help,
little guy.
puppy. Puppy attack, puppy attack.
Yeah,
Uh, how is it going?
it's going good for me. How are you doing?
I finished my first week of fall semester
I know you did.
teaching.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
awesome.
I it okay, so I'm teaching online again.
Hmm.
Yes, Winnie, I see you right there. And I don't know. I guess like the common story is like first week is like always chaotic, always like running
Mm.
all over the place.
Mm.
I don't think that I think that it was weird. Like there were a couple situations where I was like, "Oh my gosh, scrambling." But for the most part, I was just kind of like, okay, first week.
Yeah,
First week again. Though
nice.
because I was virtual, I didn't have to deal with like going to campus and like I some of my colleagues the power in the room wasn't working and I was like, "Oh, that's different."
Okay,
So
that
like
is
I didn't have to
different. Yeah.
deal with any like physical technical issues like common things like students Zoom calls might have dropped out or something like that or
Hmm.
audio issues,
Hmm.
but like, it's it went pretty smoothly overall. As for first weeks, it went pretty smoothly. And I got to do all the things that I scheduled myself to
So
do.
you struck a good balance.
I did,
Good for
somehow.
you.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it goes the
Are
same
you
way in
feeling
spring semester.
like it was sustainable or you need to dial it in still?
Um, I yeah, I think that at a certain point, I think around Wednesday, I have very ebbs and flows throughout from week to week.
Sure.
Typically, my typical life is that Fridays I am out of energy completely, which is I schedule around
Hmm.
that. So I try to do all of my. I actually requested for my teaching load to be front loaded on the early end of the week, but that
It is not.
that did not
Yeah.
happen. It's a Thursday, Friday, mostly. I do have a Tuesday, but that means that I'm like always doing stuff throughout the week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, though I did find though because I am teaching on Tuesday that the prep for Thursday and Friday is a little lessen. So it
Sure.
was manageable. But yeah, this week it was I Wednesday was my day where I was like, I'm out of energy. I'm
Uh-huh.
done.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
done.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I had to like scale back a little bit, but I was still able to do stuff. We did a crazy like demoed yesterday with 9 games. It was like
Yes, we
a
did. Yes,
lot.
we did. It was a lot.
It
It
was
was
fun
very
though.
enjoyable. Yeah, it
But
was
yeah,
super
we're
fun.
in we're in fall season now. We're in the
But it's
pumpkin
106
the
out.
pumpkin spice Starbucks
Sure, sure.
the latte.
It's
The
just the
latte is bad.
lattes are hotter than they would be in
No,
fall and
yeah, yeah.
normal.
I love fall. Fall is
You've
probably it
always loved
used to
fall.
well, summer used to be my favorite season.
Hmm.
And then I just can't deal with the heat anymore.
Yeah.
And so now fall is my favorite season because my birthday is in October and it's like spooky and like you can well if we lived in like I remember distinctly in Michigan if we were in Michigan I'd be like wearing my scarves or like
Yeah, yeah.
bundling up so
Yeah. Sweatshirts.
yeah yeah but
Here, it may be. It's a maybe.
we're almost at September 1st back to Hogwarts, like in the wizarding world sort of canon.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And we're continuing on Harry's journey of
Well,
well, he's not at Hogwarts yet, so
yeah, 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 yeah. No, I know. It's fun to think about. It's fun that the school year is starting. It's a bummer that it's so tumultuous again. From my perspective, like we have a lot of students, trying to figure it out
yeah.
in high school in particular. Just a lot going on. Just a lot going on.
I thought you were talking about Harry Potter for a second, but you're talking about real life.
I am still talking about real life,
I'm
yes.
like, oh yeah, Harry Potter's he's having a moment before school starts. But yeah, no,
He
that is
is, in
true.
fact,
That
having
is
a
true.
moment, and I'm ready to talk about it
You
if you
ready?
are.
Yeah, yeah. All right,
Juan's
one's ready.
ready. Turn to page 16, The Scar. Today's lesson is called The Interpretation of Dreams. A synopsis, brief one. The chapter begins with Harry waking up, his scar searing, and losing the clarity of the nightmare that woke him. Voldemort and Wormtail were discussing some plans, and a third stranger was present and may have died. Harry wasn't sure if the dream was real or not, but his first worry is that Voldemort is near to him again, as that was the last time his scar had hurt. Harry calms himself by thinking about who he should tell about this experience. Hermione, Ron, maybe Dumbledore. Finally, he remembers that his newly free godfather, Sirius Black, would be the perfect confidant. Harry scratches out a letter to Sirius, tries to fall back asleep.
Oh, little Harry.
Little Harold.
So, okay, as I don't know about you. Well, actually, no, I do know about you. I don't know
Huh?
about anyone else listening to this or watching this.
But you know about me.
My dreams are always vivid, but it's I well, unlike Harry, I don't have a dark wizard trying to murder me, and
That you know of.
that I know of. So it's interesting because in the book though, we know as the reader from chapter 1 that this is real. Like it was established, like this is a real
Right.
person.
That's
This
right.
actually happened, and
Frank Bryce,
then
where it is.
the last line is like a boy, like the boy with a scar, his scar burned or whatever. Like he woke up, so we know that this is actually real. And it's interesting because it was kind of going back and forth, but the reason that Harry isn't sure is because his scar is burning, which is like an actual thing that happens when it's based in reality, not just like in his dream or imagining or like there. Because one of my questions is I wonder what Harry's normal dreams are like, if this like is along the line. I mean, the
Yeah.
boy has gone through some traumatic things. Like, is it along the line of things, or
I know I loved his description of all the pain that he's been through, but we
Yeah.
can return to that. I think his instinct is appropriate, right? Like the fact that it was such a vibrant dream combined with the scar hurting is sort of instinctive. Like I should tell somebody, but I don't want to like freak him out,
Oh man, yeah, it was so sweet because
He could play through his head.
Yeah.
Harry and Ron, or
well, I
Hermione
love
and Ron.
yeah. So Hermione, it's so great because I'm also imagining Harry imagining this of like, yeah, this is probably likely
Magical
of what
melodies.
Hermione would be like. And then the part with the Weasley family was so sweet because it was just
Yes.
like the Weasley family is his favorite family in the world, and he doesn't
They
want to
would
burden
love
them.
him.
And I'm like, oh my god,
Worried about him.
Harry, you're the
You know what I also
sweetest.
like is that he basically plays through Hermione being like, oh, I forget exactly what it was about Hermione of like, you should tell Dumbledore
The
or
headmaster, yeah.
something.
She's like, you have to tell Dumbledore, and then I'll go like look in this book or whatever. So he was like, oh yeah, Hermione just like
Oh,
of
it
course
was that.
tell the
Yeah,
teacher.
yeah. And then like in the letter, I think to Sirius, he's like, you don't think it means he's nearby or whatever. Like, is it normal for cursed scars to just hurt? Because that was the thing that it
Normal.
was like Ron would ask his dad about. Like, maybe it's
Yeah.
normal, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Because it kind of combines it. So like, he says he's like, oh well, I'm pretty sure he knows like nobody else has gone through this specific experience that he's gone through. So why would it be in a book? Like
Oh, they have
nobody
not.
else has gone through this. So it kind of combines that Hermione like imaginary conversation with like the Ron imaginary conversation of so it's like, and it also the crumpled parchment on the desk made it feel to me that he had been struggling to figure out what to say, and just or unless it's just the same crumpled parchment. I was imagining he was just like, oh, discard draft, discard draft, discard draft. This is how I'm going to say it, because he also chose not to tell Sirius about the dream at all, which was
Yep.
like, oh, Harry, why are you doing this? Stop withholding information from adults.
Well, it's useful it's really lovely to like live with him though, because you can recognize some of his angst. Right? He's trying to be independent. He's trying to like he doesn't want to be babied,
I
so
know,
he
but
hides a lot,
but
right?
still, the
Oh,
other
I
people
understand.
agree with me
I
here.
agree as well. I'm just saying it's nice to live with like
Yeah,
inside his head, and
yeah.
however irrational it may feel, like why don't you just tell like
Just
the
tell
entire story to
somebody.
somebody, because it's an unusual
I
experience.
guess
But
the adults do the same thing. Dumbledore doesn't tell Harry everything. None of these other people tell anyone everything. Do I even tell anyone everything that there is to know about a particular situation I'm dealing with? I don't know. Again, I do not have people chasing me down trying to kill me, but so like
that you know
the
of.
stakes are lower
Yeah.
for me, but
Yeah. Yeah.
because
He
Harry
doesn't want to
already,
overshare.
well, so this is also where it gets complicated with so last book we had the prophecy thing again,
Hmm.
and so this feels different where it's like
Yes, he
we
doesn't
could,
make that connection.
yes, he
Right.
doesn't, but like it's interesting because that was already a thing, and so, or like that we know of, and so it's just, I don't know. There is a lot going on in this
Hmm.
specific scene, even though it was a pretty short-ish chapter. Um, yeah, so one thing that I wrote down for like a quote. So Harry is getting these letters from Sirius,
Hmm.
but not from owls, from these tropical birds, which I
Hmm.
find amusing to imagine oh, I didn't bring the book in here with me, but there's an illustrated picture of it's like, I don't know, it's just, it does not seem like it fits in the wizarding world, like Harry next to this
Is it a big
tropical
like
bird.
toucan or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
something?
It's like a, if I remember correctly, it's like a toucan, but also flamingo. It's like a tall, like
It fits
cranny
in
bird.
the Wizarding world that is not England or
Yeah,
or the
yes, yeah, right, right,
UK.
right, right. So just imagining Harry just like, because the scene in the image is like Harry sitting on his bed, and then this bird
Big
comes, a
bird.
big
Well,
bird
it
comes with a
definitely.
claw, and it's
I
just
always imagine it flying in and like somebody being like, "What in the world is that?"
yeah, yeah,
But I love I love that idea. That whole kind of thought of like Sirius is in this tropical place
yeah,
on a beach,
yeah.
like Harry's imagining him, and then also the connection of like I wonder if it's like even has a legitimate reason, like that it's kind of an anti
Hmm.
Dementor space because it's so nice and warm and
Mm-hmm.
sunny.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah. So the specific quote with the bird is that it says Hedwig had not approved of these flashy intruders. She
Oh,
had been
Hedwig.
most reluctant to allow them to drink from her water tray before falling off again. I'm like,
Hmm.
Hedwig,
Snapping
Hedwig.
at it.
Yeah, yeah. She's like, I don't like
Get
this
out of here.
bird. I do not like it. Get out of this house. Oh my goodness. Um, in Harry's letter, so this is the only thing that it is a short chapter. It's somewhat straightforward. There's interesting things to think about with like the dream aspect and all of that, and like dream reality, like Harry's reaction. But the only thing the little detail that I picked up on was in Harry's letter to Sirius. He explained like what's going on in the Dursley household, normal chaos, Dudley's smuggling donuts and
PlayStation. Threw
yeah,
his PlayStation out the
PlayStation.
window.
Threw his PlayStation out the window, which I'm reading that sentence and I'm like, oh, in horror, being like,
Yeah.
you're throwing your console out the
Yeah,
window.
yeah.
you
You've made a mistake.
you have, and Harry even says
He
that
rage
too.
quit.
He's like, yeah,
Now he
that
doesn't even have
you don't have.
monster
Yeah,
annihilation or
yeah,
whatever it is.
mega mutilation part 3. But the specific detail is that it is an anachronism. Is that the right word? It's not possible in this time for PlayStation doesn't exist, I guess is
What?
the point. The PlayStation came
Oh,
to Japan in 1994. So we're in 1994, I think, for the start of this school year. One,
my
two, three, four.
goodness.
And it didn't come
This is
to
critical
Europe
information.
until September. Well, it came to the United States, I think I read September 9th, 1995. And then September 21st, it was like a few weeks later in Europe that it was introduced.
That's
so there's,
funny.
well, because it's funny because like this is super obscure. The only reason I looked this up was because I was like, oh, PlayStation. And in my
I love
mind,
the idea that J.K. Rowling was like, I'm not looking this up.
yeah, in my mind, I was just like, ooh, I wonder if Harry, like, snuck a few games in. And like, I was imagining gamer Harry Potter, like, for a brief second. And then I looked it up to see, like, if any other people, I always look up
He played on the
forums or
PC
stuff.
sometimes when they went on vacation.
And what I found was that people were discussing this PlayStation thing, and apparently she responded to it. And
Did she?
Yeah, so she said, as obsessive fans will tell you, I do slip up several classrooms, move floors mysteriously between books, and these are taken blah blah blah. These are the least serious continuity errors, is what she says.
No, this is very, very important.
And yeah, so she basically is just like, yeah, many of the fan sites will point you in the direction of my mistakes. Well, but she does say, but the essentials remain consistent from book to book because the story has been plotted for a long time and is clear in my mind. So basically, she's just like, I don't really care about these specific details, like the bigger, whatever points of the story or like how the story plays out is more important to her. But it's just like hilarious that people are like looking up this thing specifically to see, is this real? Because it is a little odd. It's like, have we seen any other branded? I don't think we've seen any other Muggle like connection in a clearly branded sense, right? Like,
not that I can remember.
So that's why it stood out to me.
Well, Ford Anglia. The Ford Anglia.
Oh, well.
But
no one's looking that up.
Maybe
or
they probably did.
Have.
Yeah. It happens to be good, yeah. Like, no, that's the wrong model.
Gosh.
It would have a dual exhaust.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, yeah, Dudley smashes his PlayStation.
Which is just so great.
Now I want to know, like, gamer Harry Potter. Harry, like, okay, now that Harry, well, do you think Harry games? That's my question. Do you think that
he plays Quidditch?
Oh yeah, that's true. He does play Quidditch.
But he did. We had the one where he played games on the PC when the family was out. The Dursleys were out.
Okay, so
I think it's book 1. I can't remember.
Yeah, because Harry basically lived in the Muggle world, like fully, or right. I mean, still does in this book.
Well, I love the idea. There's no way that Sirius knows what a PlayStation is, regardless of whether or not it's anachronistic. Like the fact that it's like. Well, he even says the title of the game, and Sirius must read. I had a moment where I tried to empath myself to be like, what if I was a wizard and I had no idea what PlayStation or video games were at all?
Yeah.
And I read the phrase like PlayStation out the window and then like total mutilation 3 or whatever. And I'd be like, what in the world are you talking about, Harry? What does this even mean?
Yeah. He tries to explain it like, oh, it's these games that you play or whatever. The other thing, though, now that I'm thinking on this train of thought, is that Hermione, fully Muggle-born, and so Hermione and Ron, what do you think their kids do? Like, I'm like, do you split your time between Muggle entertainment and wizarding entertainment, or are you just full out, like, you're in the wizarding world?
I'm certain that Hermione and Ron's children get exposed to all aspects of life.
I would imagine.
Ron, Harry and Ginny, probably not. I think, like... It's really funny, like, because this is true, right?
The next installment is that they start an Esports League.
The wizards don't use electricity, do they?
I don't know if it's there's something about like electronics and magic that I don't remember exactly where it is in the series. That I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. This is why when I had that
stuff is mechanical.
When I had that Wizards Unite theory about the internet being the source of the calamity, then it was just like, yeah, this is probably not right. Like, but you don't know. Like maybe things blend more. I don't know.
Imagine, you're a wizard, you're a kid, you're growing up, you tell your parents, I've decided to become a game designer.
And I designed Harry Potter Wizards Unite.
And it's, hey, yes. Now we're in it. Now we're on it.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So this
We're
came out
we're
of,
getting Constance actually designed the game. She's actually a secret game
you
designer.
say that jokingly. I can recall conspiracy theories that J.K. Rowling was actually a witch
Yes,
and that
yeah,
this
yeah.
must be real.
Yes.
And they basically denied the idea that she could have invented all of this stuff.
Yes.
And I'm like, you people should read more.
She's
It's not that
a
hard to
witch.
invent
Oh my gosh.
magic.
She
Like
was
many,
there.
many
She's
people have
no,
done
because
it.
I think this more specific theory that I've seen is that she's actually Rita Skeeter or something like that, or like Rita Skeeter's actually. I don't know. I don't
So
know.
she really
I don't
wrote
know.
herself in
Yeah.
a pretty sour light. Yeah.
Or her alter ego.
That's
Like,
great. Oh my goodness.
who knows? I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. Oh no. Our Streamlabs bot is going off. Gamescom.
Demo.
But we did play 9 demos yesterday.
Oh, stream.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
But we're setting ourselves up. So, I mean, it was a pretty short chapter. It was
yeah.
a really short chapter.
It was basically, it's
9
called The
pages or
Scar. It
something.
was basically this, like, Harry just thinking about his scar. And we did get a very, like, overall,
reintroduction.
yeah,
Yep.
what happened? What has happened? Why are we in this situation?
Voldemort killed a lot of people. A lot
Yeah.
of people died to the spell. Harry, little baby. Rebound. Hogwarts, wizard.
This is
Attack. Bones out of the arm.
this is
Dementors,
Jeff's
Sirius.
recap
We're good.
of the first 3 books. That's Jeff's recap.
It's funny, like, yeah, those chapters I think exist in every book where
Yes,
there's some
yeah.
kind, or at least partials
just-
of the chapters. It's just a reintroduction. It's fun. I always reflect on them as I read them again,
Yeah.
of like how she does it and
Well,
where
it's
she
nice because-
condenses and like
Yeah,
where she goes super detailed.
It's concise and it's it's somewhat like it doesn't fully interrupt the
No, she
the
uses something
process.
to anchor it. At least
Yeah.
in this one,
Yeah.
the pain.
Yes.
Where
Yeah.
she like brings up these specific pain experiences that are actually quite detailed and wouldn't make any sense if you hadn't already heard those stories.
Yeah. And even if you had read or heard them, like just getting that refresher of like
Totally.
this is a pattern and this is something that is a longer term
Well, it sparks
journey.
the memory. I was actually thinking about that because Streamlabs, we do demos of
Yeah.
games, and then we've been recording discussions of the games yet to be published. But
Secret discussion.
in those discussions, there have been times where we've had screenshots of the game and times where we haven't. And when we have the screenshot, it really jogs my memory quite well. So it reminded me of that a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
It's like if I see the game,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I remember this one. And I was thinking about for this week's where we played 9, I'm like, I should grab screenshots of all these games so that I can remember which is which.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just helps the aesthetic and everything. But it's the same thing that happens here where it's like, oh, yeah, I remember that. Like it's kind of, obviously we've read them many times, but even so, it still works.
Yeah. All right. Anything else from
Not for
this
me.
chapter?
Not for me.
Yeah.
Looking
I
forward
only
to-
looked up PlayStations.
PlayStation.
That is my depth. Well, okay, I will say, side note, like I have never owned a PlayStation
Nor have I.
anything. So I grew up Nintendo. Not that it
I
matters.
did
Like
play a lot of PlayStation at one of my friends' houses.
Oh.
We played FIFA
Mm-hmm.
a lot. Like a lot of FIFA.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because now I feel like I don't know what the percentage would be. It's probably like 80 to 85% PC for me.
Sure. And then a little bit of
a
Switch.
little bit of Switch still. Actually, if I
Probably less.
include mobile in that, it's probably a little skewed. Like I think I play in terms of time wise, not necessarily games. In terms of games, it's probably like 90 something percent on on PC. Though I did download a lot of demos on Switch.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that like I could play on either. Like the games are available on PC and
what FIFA is? It's more popular than Mega Mutilation 3. It's a soccer
Dudley
game.
should play FIFA.
Soccer game, yeah.
Yeah, it's soccer.
I played with my soccer friend.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's still going. So when was
It
FIFA
is still going.
introduced?
It's hugely popular.
Do you know?
1994, maybe?
Ooh.
I don't know. It was early.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of them. Yeah. A lot. Because that basically every year.
We watched this documentary. It was about it was a docu-series on Netflix. I think it was the Game Over one that we watched where it had like the stuff about Sonic and like, do you remember those episodes where it was like introducing all the, but there was the one about sports. Do you remember like
there
Madden?
was. Yeah, there was. Yeah.
Was that series or was that a different
I think it might have been a different one, but
okay.
regardless.
Well, either on Amazon Prime Video or Netflix, there is something on there that has stories about like the genesis of Madden and that sort of thing.
Yep, and targeting a new demographic.
Yeah.
Like older
very interesting.
teens, teen boys. Yeah. In particular. Yeah, it was interesting. Anyway. That's for the other podcast.
I'm just like, no, this is a gaming podcast.
That's what you get for a short chapter, okay? Yeah. A short chapter with recap. Okay, it's like, well.
So the last short chapter we had, I'm pretty sure that episode, like, we're not going to go that long, but that episode was 45 minutes.
We just
somehow.
rambled.
I don't know what we talked about. It was like seven pages long, and we talked for 45 minutes about.
Yeah, but it was mid-book.
Yes, this is the beginning. Like, we're still setting the stage.
Okay. We pretty much have the dream, and that's it. And there was 2 chapters. Yeah. All right, until next time then.
Until next time. I don't have my scene hum. Maybe until next time. Maybe until next time. Wands ready.